Hello, amazing souls. Welcome to the Soul Vibe Insights Podcast, a show to demystify the soul, intuition, and the Akashic Records. We know a thing or two about the ups and downs of being on a spiritual growth plan and how to find the higher perspective, even when it seems like there isn't one. I'm your host, Maddie Hollingsworth.
And I'm your host, Emily Pearl. We've been professional intuitives and energy healers for over 20 years now. We believe each of us are on a unique path of growth and learning, and our intuition is meant to be our guide. The problem is, most of us have never learned how to use it. That's where we come in, helping you discover how your intuition works and the lessons your soul has chosen to learn in this life is what we're all about.
All right, y'all, let's jump right into today's show. Hello, amazing soul friends, and welcome to today's show. Intuitives aren't special. No, really. Me and Emily are going to talk about what it means to be intuitive and how it's not something that only special people get to be. After that, we're going to break down 10 potential blocks that you might be experiencing with your intuition. But before we get into that, we wanted to give you a little life update. We've moved on from Colorado and we have landed in Moab, Utah. We're taking care of a sweet 16-year-old kitty named Barley. She's probably the softest kitty I've ever been around.
When she lets us pet her.
That's true. She's an old lady and doesn't always love to be pets, but she likes to be near. And sometimes she just puts her little tail right on your leg and stands there with you.
Yeah, it's really sweet. And sometimes she likes to yell out and meow. So if you do hear that in the background, just know that that's just Barley saying hello.
Yeah, she may join us on the podcast. We'll find out, I guess. We will get to celebrate her 17th birthday at the end of this month while we're here.
Yeah, that's going to be super cute.
Yeah, and special.
We've given the okay to give her a tiny little pea-size amount of whipped cream for her birthday. So that'll be super cool.
The house we're in is on 10 acres, a little south of Moab. I mean, we're surrounded by red cliffs and canyons. Juniper and sage are just covering the landscape. It's just beautiful here.
Yeah, it's just an epic view all around, too. And the entire back of the house is made of windows. Well, really, the majority of the house is made of windows. So pretty much everywhere you go, you just have epic view of desert landscape and red rocks and the La Salle Mountains. It's just absolutely beautiful. So we're very excited to be recording this podcast here and talking about our favorite subject, intuition.
Yeah.
So shall we get into the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So the first thing I wanted to say is that intuition is not something that certain people are born with, and that's what makes them intuitive. I know there can be a tendency at times to put this gift outside yourself if you don't feel a strong connection with your intuition, but everyone is intuitive. It is a birthright for every person. The biggest tip I could tell you is to be brave, own your intuitive gifts because they are a part of you and they were meant to be a part of you in this existence as a spiritual light body, living a human life. It is your gift to claim.
So one of these things that we wanted to talk about is how we believe intuition is one of the ways that your soul speaks to you and connects with you. First, we thought it would be a good idea to kind of talk about the soul, talk about how this plays out. So first of all, your soul is also known as your higher self. Your soul is the aspect of you that contains the information of the whole, meaning the whole of who you are. So your soul has this story that began far before you ever existed. And you, as in who you are right now in your human body listening to this podcast, you are a continuation of your soul's story, not the other way around. So think of your soul as like this infinite hard drive containing all the information of all of your incarnations, which is how it knows so much information because it has the higher perspective of the trajectory of your entire existence. That's why when you connect with your soul through your intuition, you can receive guidance from a higher perspective that really helps. It really helps like ignite your life and your path. it really can help you make quantum leaps in your lifetime. But in order to connect with your intuition, it takes practice, but most of all, it takes trust and confidence in yourself to understand how yours works, and then you have to practice to cultivate it. I really like this quote by Einstein, and I'm sure you've probably heard it before. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. So I feel like this quote applies here as well because everyone's intuition works differently. It's about learning how yours works and then cultivating that trust and practice within yourself in order to maintain that trust, get that guidance. And a part of getting the guidance is by trusting the guidance and following through with the action that the guidance gives you. So it sounds a little confusing, but don't worry, we're going to lead you through that. And I will say also, for so long, clairvoyance has been seen as the right way or the only way to be intuitive, even though and even though clairvoyance has been rejected by most forms of science, philosophy, and philosophy. But the reason for that, did I say theosophy wrong?
Theosophy.
Theosophy. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, did I say that wrong?
For me, the main reason that these have been rejected is science can't prove a clairvoyant vision. Theosophy rejects clairvoyance as a gift not of God, but of the devil, because they don't understand it. And philosophy, it's not built upon any foundations, even though at the same time, like, think back to some of the greatest Greek philosophers like Plato and Socrates. There was also the Oracle of Delphi going on in the same. There
Well,
was a
I think it's like been rejected for common people, and I have that in quotes, but it's okay for, people of higher power to have these powers. So it's like seen as something that's been put on this pedestal as something that, I mean, that's basically what we're talking about today. It's basically seen as something that you have to be special in order to have, but we really want to challenge that. We want to challenge the view of intuition. Intuition is something that everyone has. Everyone has intuitive capabilities. But like I said earlier, it takes trust and confidence to understand how yours works and then practice to cultivate it. And so it's especially difficult in this world that we live in because social standards teach us to always doubt ourselves, to listen to someone else. Someone else knows the right way. And this begins in our childhood with our parents. And if you're a child listening to this, I'm not saying don't listen to your parents or don't listen to your teachers. But what I'm saying is learn to cultivate the trust in listening to yourself as well. It's very important to learn how to trust yourself, especially when it comes to intuition. I especially think it's reinforced that in this society that we live in, that there's something wrong with us, that there's something that need to be remedied, which further kind of reinforces the teaching to doubt yourself, to not listen to yourself. And then media and marketers have essentially taken the human experience and demonized it all. So then it just basically is this crazy whirlwind of doubt in yourself, doubt in your emotions, especially in the land of like gaslighting. Then you can't trust your emotions, you can't trust your thoughts. Like what can you trust in this world?
You can trust my product right here for $299.99 a month.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, there's so much marketing around problems, your problems, our problems, everyone's problems, and they have the solutions for them. There's not a lot of people that are, will tell you, but I don't see it in the broad world on social media or in marketing. Granted, I don't have television and commercials that I just want to pull my hair out. I watch a football game or something and have to endure some commercials because I forget to mute button for a second, but that's besides the point. But you have the answers within you.
Yeah.
If there is something that is going on in your world, you can find the answers within. Highly personalized answers designed for you, sent to you from your soul or from your guides to help you co-create a life, to help you maybe steer in a different direction if you want to, if you choose to. You don't have to look outside yourself. Sometimes it's great to have some guidance or to use tools that are outside of you from others as well. But you should definitely be building up your connection. You should come back to yourself and use your intuition and your emotions as guides.
Mm.
Look within. Don't just look without and just seek the guidance and the answers outside of yourself. And if you are, find someone that helps you find them within you.
We'd like to reiterate, like we said before, intuition is one of the main ways your soul communicates and connects with you. And it actually is rooting for you from this higher perspective and wants you to have everything that you desire. It wants you to live the life of your dreams.
1,000% wants you to live the life of your dreams.
Yes,
But you're here in your human self, so you got to figure out what your dreams are.
that's very true. And you also have to understand that obstacles and challenges are just part of it. So when we say, like, oh, if you follow the guidance of your intuition, you'll never experience another obstacle or challenge, that's just not true, because that is why we're here. We are here incarnated on planet Earth to learn, to grow, and unfortunately, obstacles and challenges come along with it. But if you look back into your life and think about some of the obstacles and challenges that you've overcome and that you have found solutions for, you can see how much you've grown and how much you learned through those experiences. And so that is the reason for those.
Oh, good old experiential knowledge.
Yes. Because really, in the end, who do you trust more? Someone who's actually experienced something and then they're trying to guide you through it, or someone who just kind of read it in a book? Or I don't know. We see this with traveling a lot. I mean, it especially happened when we went to Thailand. We had we were so excited to go to Thailand the first time that we went. And we told people, because we worked at a restaurant at this time, we told the people, we told clients, we told our coworkers, and what did we get back? We got back, oh, I heard that that is an unsafe place, or, oh, my friend told me that one of their friends got sick while they were there. And it was like all of these words of caution, but not a single one of those people had actually ever been to Thailand.
Yeah, like sickness only exists in a country called Thailand. Like,
Right, exactly. So we get all of this information coming to us from all of these different places, but a lot of times it's coming from fear or something that someone else has been told, that where fear has been instilled in them, and not necessarily information that is coming from within. So that's why it's really important to learn to tune into yourself, tune into your emotions, tune into your intuition, and really let that guide and steer you in your life.
we've mentioned that intuition is one of the main ways that your soul communicates with you and helps co-create a life with you based on the answers you seek, your deep desires for your learning, for your growth in this lifetime. But you also have spirit guides and guardian angels in the astral realm, and there are archangels and ascended masters in the divine realm that you can get guidance from, that are there for your highest good. Your spirit guides and guardian angels are there to give you highly personalized guidance based on exactly what your soul came to learn, to grow from, to experience in this world, life lessons. Maybe you came to be a cycle breaker within your ancestral lineage, or how you came to explore the physical world, or maybe your soul group's on a mission and you're here collecting data as part of that. Maybe all of these things are part of what's going on at the same time for you. But you can get highly personalized guidance from your spirit guides and guardian angels, your divine helpers, your ascended masters, your archangels. You can get personalized guidance, but it will also be guidance that's good for the masses as well. They are more about the highest good for all, while your spirit guides and guardian angels are all about your highest good. And the big thing with the divine realm is asking for it, is connecting with an archangel and asking for assistance, where your spirit guides might drop some intuitive nudges in there when they see that that's what you could use at that moment in your life.
I still think that it's important to ask, though. I think that even with the spirit guides and the guardian angels,
Oh, I think it's always important to ask, but I think
because they
that's
don't
kind
want
of
to
the difference.
interfere with your free will.
Well, yeah, we can accept the signs and clues or not accept them. I mean, that's definitely our free will. there. But I totally agree with you. It's absolutely a good idea to always ask for guidance, to connect like that.
And if you want the guide.
But yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't want the guidance knowing that it's there to help you. But that is a choice of the soul as well, I guess.
Shall we get into potential blocks to your intuition?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's get started with the potential blocks to your intuition. So, we've talked a little bit about intuition. We talked about what kind of intuitive guidance you can get, where it can possibly come from, how it is associated with the highest perspective and the highest good for you and your soul. If you would like more specialized information and guidance, then it's a good idea to speak with your spirit guides or your guardian angels. And then if you want guidance that is just based on the higher perspective of everyone and everything, then that's when you would talk to the divine realm, your higher self, archangels, ascended masters. And that's a little bit different if you're doing intuitive work. That's something we're going to be teaching in our upcoming class. So stay tuned to hear more about that. Let's talk about potential blocks to your intuition. So the first one, and I think this is one of the biggest ones, and we kind of covered this earlier, talking about all like social standards and the way marketers and media really try to kind of break down your self-confidence and worth. So the first one is low self-worth and confidence. That kind of goes along with having a subconscious belief that you aren't intuitive or that you can't trust yourself or you're just not worthy of receiving this guidance or worthy of being intuitive. And so I think that's a big block that we all experience at one time or another. And I think that's something that we're all here to kind of work through together and individually, is to learn how to raise our self-worth, raise our confidence, and live the life that we're meant to live, like really step into our personal power in this lifetime.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, working through self-worth issues was kind of like peeling an onion. You work through one outer layer and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm feeling better. Oh, there's another layer. Well, okay. Let's peel this one back and see what it reveals. So for me personally, just it was a work in progress to be.
Was.
It still is at times, absolutely. But I definitely have a much deeper connection with my intuition and more confidence. But I still deal with self-worth and fear at times. I think,
Absolutely. I also think that that's a good point to demonstrate as well, is that you don't have you don't have to have complete self-worth and confidence in yourself in order to connect with your intuition. It is this thing that it's a work in progress at all times.
and it's always available to you. Absolutely. This is about practice, intention, building that trust, taking those small steps, getting the guidance, and then putting forth some aligned action around it and going back and getting the next step. So, number two, potential block to your intuition is your emotional state. If you're in a highly emotional state, especially around frustrations and worries and stressors and anxiety, this can definitely be an inhibitor to your intuition. When your emotions are in flux, your hormones are going crazy, it's hard to get centered and be clear and open to your guidance that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a huge like catch 22 with the intuition, because when you're worried and frustrated, stressed, or anxious, that's when you want the guidance. But at the same time, you're blocking yourself from the guidance. So it's like this weird balance. But it does make sense if you're constantly in your head and you're constantly going through these circular thoughts, or you're constantly worried about, oh gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Then, I mean, how can guidance even get in there? Like, where would it even fit into that circular thinking?
No, there's no pause. There's no calm moment where your soul could speak to you.
Yeah. So if you feel like this is something that I mean, we all struggle with it. We're all living the human condition, so we are not above feeling the emotions. But just kind of remember, if you are in this state and you are looking for guidance, to just really take the pause. Try to get out in nature, really try to connect with yourself, take deep breaths, and find that clarity. Find that stillness between those highly emotional thoughts and energies.
Yeah, this is a call to just know that you're experiencing something that's normal, a
Yeah.
highly emotional state, but bring awareness to it and realize, oh, I'm going through a highly emotional state. What I really could use right now are some deep breaths, maybe a walk outside, then maybe come back and a little meditation, connect with my guides and ask some questions. So don't think that you're experiencing something abnormal. We all go through this. It's about bringing awareness and then doing something about it.
Yeah, and try not to judge those emotions when they happen. Just kind of let them be and experience them. And like Maddie said, take awareness. You want to definitely be aware of what's going on, but try not to judge it further and make it even more into something that it isn't. So, number 3, your thoughts. So, one of the thoughts that have seen a lot in the intuitive world, and keep in mind, Maddie and I have been on our intuitive path alongside each other for 20 years, and then as a couple for 13 of those years. One of the biggest things that we have seen, people think that they have to be intuitive, you have to be on all the time. And it's literally that thinking that you have to be on all the time, that, oh, if you're not intuitive in this moment, then you're not intuitive at all. Like that all or none thinking, that stress can block you from your intuition. Thinking that you do have to be on all the time. And that's where balance comes in. Again, it's almost like balance is this theme that we all need to play with and understand. You don't have to be on all the time. I mean, the thing about being intuitive is that you're also here to have a human experience. You are meant to have that human experience and all that it encompasses. And then you can also be intuitive and not have to be intuitive every moment of every single day. When you're not feeling intuitive or you're not getting the intuitive hits or whatever, just relax. Just try to trust that they'll come in the right moment, that those aha moments, those intuitive hits will come when you need them, and try to put trust in that.
And going along on the theme of your thoughts could be blocking your intuition. There's no right or wrong way to be intuitive. You don't have to meditate for 30 minutes and then sage your entire home and then be open to receive intuitive guidance. Intuitive hits and nudges can come at any time, anywhere, but of course your intention can help. If you want to sit and meditate and clear and get in a nice headspace, like we talked about, if you're in a highly emotional state, it's going to be harder for your intuition to come through than if you're in a calmer state. But you don't have to always perfectly get yourself in this just right calm state to be intuitive. So get out of your head, get into your heart, and just be aware of what's coming in your guidance. Steer that guidance. Ask questions as well. But just like you could be in a highly emotional state, the same thing could be happening with your thoughts. You could be, and I've been real guilty of this one, you could definitely be overthinking things. Yeah.
Definitely been guilty of that too. And I find taking a walk or when I'm in a shower and then I least expect it, it's not that I'm looking for any kind of intuitive guidance on that walk or in the shower. That's when it comes through. So it's almost like it comes through when you're least expecting it too. But always at a good time.
This is a great segue to number 4, too much distraction. Not getting those quiet moments by yourself to really connect with yourself. And like Emily just said, a quiet alone moment could be you're in the shower or you're on a short walk. It could be from the parking garage to where you're headed in town. So you don't necessarily have to set up a perfect, calm, quiet moment to get guidance. Sometimes they just come out of the blue when you're not really expecting it to happen. But it is usually something you've been thinking about or wondering on or looking for guidance on in the past. And then all of a sudden that aha moment happens when you least expect it. When you are just with yourself and you're out of your head and you're just more open to receive. So if you're someone who is always spending time on social media or keeping yourself really busy or you have FOMO like crazy, take this as a moment to be aware of that about yourself and to try and give yourself some quiet moment away from unwanted influencing energies of other things like social media or the news or what your family or friends think should be right for your life so you can connect with your own guidance and your intuition about what's right.
So while we were talking, I actually added another one. So we're going to actually be doing 11 potential blocks to your intuition. So the added one is that you are attached to the answer. If you are attached to a certain outcome happening or attached to getting an answer or guidance in a specific moment, then that could be a potential block as well. As we demonstrated earlier, or within the last 4 points, is that oftentimes your intuition and the intuitive hits come through when you least expect it. So if you're attached to it coming at a specific time or in a specific way or any kind of specific, then you are basically blocking out all of these other potential possibilities of when it could actually come and how it could be delivered. And if you were attached to a specific answer, like if you're like, oh, I need to know, is it going to be like this? Am I going to get this job? Am I going to get the job? Am I going to get the job? Am I going to get the job? Like if you are attached to that specific answer, then you could potentially be blocking your intuition.
How do I get the job? What's the best next move for me to get this job? And it could be something completely different is the super awesome, best, most perfect job for you, but you're attached to that other job or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
I call this having your blinders on. You're so focused on one thing that you're blind to all the other possibilities. And it's good to be focused on what you want. It's good to have an idea of what you want and what you desire and how you can feel it and focus on it. But don't let it be at your detriment as well. So try and not be attached to a specific answer.
And I feel like this one kind of goes along with this next one, but on the other side of it, whereas you may not be attached to a specific answer, but you could be not open to potential solutions. So, like Maddie said, you could have these blinders on thinking that it can only play out in one certain way. But if you think that the universe only works in one way, or there's only one solution that could come about, or one way that it could be, that it could come into your life, then you definitely have blinders on and you could be missing other opportunities where the solution is being offered. And because you're looking for it to be this one way, then you're not seeing, oh, wait, here it is. It's like hitting you in the head over and over, but it's just not the way that you thought it was going to be. So therefore, you can't see it.
Yeah, how could my intuition be showing me this? Just disregard. I've done that in the past. Been so focused on the outcome, that's really the problem right there. Thinking I kind of know how it's going to come about. And then I'm looking for my intuition to back that logic up, that
Totally.
thought up. Yeah. That can be a fun merry-go-round right there. But again, awareness is key. When you can become aware of these things or how your mind is working with your intuition or against your intuition, you can really start to couple them together and use your intuition as the gift that it is, as well as then use your mind, your awesome, powerful mind to then go forward and perform those aligned actions you need. So number 7, and this kind of comes back to being attached to a specific answer. When I said that if you know what you want, that's a good thing. But sometimes we can be overly attached to it. But not knowing what you want would be number 7. How do you get guidance and intuitive steps towards a goal if you have no goal or have no idea what the goal is? This kind of goes back to try and find some quiet moments where you can ask yourself questions. What is it that you really want from a situation that you're not getting? We talked about this in a previous podcast. Using your emotions when you're kind of examining your life and how you feel about things. The things that you love and that are easy and flow, they're usually great and easy. You probably don't want to make any changes. But the things that have been challenging or tough or you really just don't like, you're probably wanting to shift gears or make some changes. But if you haven't taken any of this time to kind of realize what is it that you really like or don't like about what's going on in your life, and then find out what you want to change and kind of set some goals around the things that you do want to change. Well, how can your intuition come through for you when you don't have any idea what it is you're looking to do or to change or to create in your life? What are your dreams? What are your desires?
Well, I think it's important to note as well here is that sometimes you have to try things in order to know what you want and what you don't want. And sometimes trying something and realizing that is definitely not what I want is one step closer to what you do want. Because sometimes you just have to try things out.
Absolutely. And I've done this over and over and over again in my life, is figuring out what you don't want is one step closer to what you want. And it may feel like a bit of an obstacle or a challenge, but sometimes that's what's up. Something's put in your path and you go for it and you do it as good as you can and realize, nope, this isn't for me. Well, that's just fine. That's part of the human experience. There is so much potential within the polarity and diversity of life. We're not going to love everything. We're not going to really like doing everything. We're going to start to find where we do fit in and where we don't. But if you don't try anything and you don't do anything, then you're not really going to know. So sometimes if you don't really know exactly what it is, start trying things. Take small steps towards just figuring out what it is that you might like or might not like. So your experience, your experiential knowledge can help guide you towards what it is you want, help you set those goals.
And so that may seem contradictory to the point number 7 is not knowing what you want could be blocking your intuition, but it is true because when you do know what you want and then you ask for guidance on how to get to where you want to be, then the steps start kind of rolling in and they help you get to where you want. And so it seems maybe contradictory to say you just got to try some things to know what you do and you don't want, but it is true. Like if you don't know what you want, you have to try things in order to figure out what you do want. And then when you figure out what you want, then your intuition can help guide you towards those goals. Which brings us to number 8, which is lack of trust. So if you are in a habit of not taking the actions associated with your guidance and you do not have this trusting relationship with your intuition, then you are not going to, well, A, you're not going to be able to recognize the guidance when you get it. And B, if you're not willing to do the steps anyway, then you're probably going to be blocking your guidance. Because, I mean, what's the point of giving you the next step if you don't take the next step? Or the next step is there waiting for you to take it. And so sometimes you're kind of in this lull period when the guidance is there, it's been given to you. And so it's just waiting for you to take that step in order to get the next step. But it's really important to cultivate that trust. And you cultivate the trust by taking the actions associated with the guidance.
And that's almost always one step at a time. Occasionally you might be shown a couple of steps, but your intuition isn't going to come and give you the 50-point or the 500-point plan to get to the finish line. It's about developing trust. It is guidance, figuring out what your aligned action is, taking it, and then getting that next step of guidance. And the more you do that, the faster this can happen, the more in flow you can be, the more synchronicity you'll probably see and experience in your life. So take those aligned actions, one step at a time. Get that guidance and go. Get that guidance and go.
Yep. And number 9 is a belief that your mistakes are because you listen to your intuition. And so I've seen this a lot of times where someone's like, oh, well, I listened to my intuition, but do you see how that turned out? But like we kind of mentioned earlier in the beginning of the podcast, sometimes your obstacles and challenges are a part of your learning process because you have to experience those in order to have the growth from them in order to become the person that you need to be to manifest those next steps, to manifest those things that you want. Because sometimes you're not fully in your power and you're not at that level of growth that you need to be in order to have that next step.
Sometimes these obstacles and challenges are there so we can really appreciate things on the other side even more. That's part of duality. How can you know what the light is without the dark? How can you know how much you love unless you've experienced non-love? How do you appreciate what you have if you've had not? So sometimes this is at play as well. Your intuition isn't going to lead you to a horrible pain point, but it might give you a step. And depending on your aligned actions and what you did, you found out it wasn't for you.
And that's okay.
Exactly. That is okay. No right, no wrong. Don't blame your intuition. Don't blame yourself. Just move forward. There are no real mistakes in life. There's just feedback. And a big part of feedback can be, well, I don't want to do that again. I don't want that experience. So you move forward in a different direction. And that's okay. So number 10, unwanted influencing energies. Believing that other people know what's best for you and that you're taking your personal power and giving it away to someone else's suggestion. And there's a chance that it could be right for you and could really help you. But other people's guidance is coming from their perspective. And what has worked for them may or may not work for you. So if you're listening to other people, if your family and your friends are telling you they know what's best for you, well, that's fine to listen. But you got to tune in with yourself too and see how you feel about it. If you never check in with yourself and you just blindly do what other people are telling you to do, well, good luck with that, because I think you're going to experience some feedback in your life. You're going to be finding out what doesn't work for you or what you don't want, which is still highly valuable. And you may come across some things that are awesome and really great that other people pointed you in the direction of. But if you're only ever listening to the influencing energy of others to guide your life, then you're giving up your own personal power. You're not a part of your own guidance, and you were definitely meant to guide your own life.
And our 11th potential block to your intuition is you haven't learned the difference between your intuitive nudges and your ego or fear. I think this is something really important. A lot of people are curious, like, how do you know the difference between your intuition and your ego? And I think the biggest thing is intuitive nudges always come in like a loving manner and it always feels uplifting. Now, even if it is uplifting, sometimes it does bring a little bit of anxiety and fear because sometimes you have to really take a big step or take a big leap of faith in order to fulfill that intuitive nudge. But your intuitive nudge will never just be completely full of fear.
Absolutely. Your intuitive nudges might ask you to step outside of your comfort zone. And
Yes.
that is the place your ego loves to keep you. It loves for you to know what you know, even if it's horrible experience, you know it, you can expect it, you can wrap your head around it, and you can just deal with it because you've been doing it your whole life. Where an intuitive nudge might ask you to take a step that might create a little anxiety because you got to step out of that comfort zone, whatever that comfort zone is, to move forward. That aligned action. So you might have a little, ooh, that's big for me. That's a little scary. But there's usually going to be that feeling of inspiration, the excitement that maybe your imagination is bringing too with that intuitive nudge as well. So it's not that there won't ever be a little fear or anxiety that comes through with an intuitive nudge or with your intuition, but it won't just be fear or anxiety.
Yeah, when it's like your ego or fear, it's kind of like, well, you can't do that because of all of these reasons. Or, you're an introvert. You can't put yourself out there. Like that is ego. That is fear. Your intuition would never have that kind of eh, like attitude about it.
Yeah. The internal dialogue, if you're one that hears or gets like claircognizant hit, that internal dialogue isn't going to be just the way Emily described with your intuition. And
Yeah.
when you get an intuitive hit and then right after it comes well, you can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, that's your ego reacting to your intuitive guidance as well.
Yeah, so your intuition will sound more like, oh, have you thought about this? Or you'll just get essentially slapped in the face with this solution that you've been wanting for, the last 6 months. It's just like, oh my gosh, it like seems so easy all of a sudden. Maybe you've been asking for a change in path, but you don't know which way to go. And then your intuition will maybe give like little nudges or even a big hit that provides this solution that's something that you've never thought of. a way to make something happen that you'd never thought of, and it all of a sudden seems so easy.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be built upon your knowledge base that you have already or an experience that you've had. That's one of the really fun and beautiful things about intuition is sometimes it can seem like out of left field. I don't know anything about this, and now I feel like this is exactly what's right for me, and I've got a step to move towards it.
All right, so I know this one's getting to be a little bit long, but I'm just going to go over all of the potential blocks to your intuition all in a row. Number one is low self worth and confidence. Number two is your emotional state. If you're in a highly emotional state, you could be blocking your intuition. Three, your thoughts. If you have negative thoughts or stress thoughts, they could be blocking your intuition. Or the thought that you have to be intuitive all the time or you're not intuitive at all. Four, too much distraction. You're not getting those quiet moments by yourself. Five, you are attached to a specific answer being the right one. Six, not being open to potential solutions and that you may have blinders on. Number seven, not knowing what you want. Number eight, lack of trust in your guidance. Number nine, belief that your mistakes are linked to your intuition or because you listen to your intuition. Number 10, unwanted influencing energies. These are energies from other people that try to tell you that they know what's best for you. And number 11, you haven't learned the difference between your intuitive nudges and your ego. We want to thank you all so much for joining us today, and we look forward to our next podcast, which is going to be about misconceptions about intuitives.
So stay tuned for next week. It was a lot of fun being here with y'all today. Take care of yourselves.
Yeah, take care. Bye.